Enamorus is coming to raids in Pokemon Go. On February 14th, there'll be a mini Elite Raid event in honor of Valentine's Day featuring Enamorus Incarnate Forme on these specific times. Now, this one-day event is kind of a pain in the butt. It's a work day, it's also a holiday. So the question is, just how good is this Enamorus? Should we be spending our time chasing it down, or should we just move on with our day like any other day and pick it up on the re-release? Well, in this video, I'm going to let you know just how good Enamorus is in raids and PvP in Pokemon Go, along with its future potential as well. So starting out with the basics here, Enamorus is a fairy flying type Pokemon. It's got an attack stat of 281, a defense stat of 162, and a stamina stat of 179. So for a fairy type Pokemon, that 281 attack stat is pretty nice and suggests that it could be a good raid attacker. This ultra low bulk here though does make it look a little bit like a glass cannon when it comes to the PvP side of the force. When it comes to Enamorus's Movepool, it got a pretty decent one. We got Fairy Wind here for a same type attack bonus attack, and 2 forgettable fast moves so you can spend more fast TMs. Then when it comes to the charge moves, we got Dazzling Gleam. It's not the best fairy type charge move on the planet, but it's definitely a serviceable one when it comes to raids. Kind of sketchy when it comes to PvP, but once again, it's a charge move that you can work with, right? Fly is also pretty phenomenal in both raids and PvP. We don't have a flying type fast move, but maybe against like a fighting type raid boss, you could be using the Fairy Wind for super effective damage, and you could be using the Fly for super effective damage, which is quite nice. And then finally we got Grass Knot. Grass Knot for alternative coverage in PvP. I'm not sure if this will get a lot of usage in the Master League. Maybe if this thing spices into the Ultra League, we could see some Grass Knot plays to fight the Swampert and anything else weak to grass, right? When it comes to Enamorus as a raid attacker, here I got the DPS TDO spreadsheet on GamePress, and sorting it by DPS, which are the Pokemon that are going to have the faster raid clear times, you can see that Enamorus is number 3 on the list, just being 0.2 DPS behind the Shadow Gardevoir, which isn't really all that significant. And it's also, behind the Mega Gardevoir, you only get 1 Mega on your team at a time. So this is technically like the second best fairy type raid attacker. And considering how close it is to the Shadow Gardevoir and how it has a higher total damage output, which is a more useful metric for a Pokemon's tankiness, you could make a good argument that Enamorus is as good, if not better, than the Shadow Gardevoir. So Enamorus could be a pretty potent option for your team if you don't already have like a bunch of Shadow and other fairy type Pokemon already maxed out at level 50 or something like that. Is this such a powerful utility option for your team that you should just cancel all of your Valentine's Day plans, maybe call into work so you can work on getting as much XL candy as possible? I wouldn't exactly say so. But if you don't exactly have a full fairy type repertoire already built up, I'd say grabbing an Enamorus or 2 could be a decent budget option should you ever need to use a fairy type Pokemon in a raid. So very strong option. It's not like Kartana levels of revolutionary, but definitely not bad. It's pretty good. And if you're curious about how many trainers it's going to take on the Enamorus raid, according to the Pokebattler estimator here, it's probably going to take about 3 to 4 trainers. So if you want to comfortably, consistently take down Enamorus, I'd say probably bring 4, right? You don't need a little quirky hiccup, messing up your fun here. Obviously, raiding with more people will clear the raid a lot more quickly, but not everybody can summon 20 people at once, right? So yeah, just keep that in your mind when it comes to Enamorus battles. The better attackers, we got the steel type attacks being quite good. It's a flying fairy, so rock type attacks get in there. So plenty of good options. Maybe play it by the weather if you are taking on the Enamorus. Then when it comes to Enamorus in PvP, starting out with the Ultra League, it's rank 153. And it's got a fairly stale moveset, I'd say, for the Ultra League. I mean, it's a fairy type Pokemon, and it's losing to Greninja. Enamorus isn't happening in the Ultra League. I'm not saying that it's worthless, but, loses to Greninja. Then when it comes to Enamorus in the Master League, it is similarly not looking all that great. It is rank 47. It loses to Mewtwo, it loses to Zacian, and it loses to Dialga. all of which just aren't great looks for a fairy flying type Pokemon in the Master League. Like, you're supposed to be the glass cannon, but you're getting out cannoned by the Mewtwo. I think that says all you need to really know about Enamorus here. Another interesting tidbit, I got this from Jabaku on the Game Press team, Master League Master right there. And he highlighted that against a lot of the Dragon type Pokemon, it takes an additional damage per Dragon Breath. So in uneven situations, Enamorus could easily get worn out by a Dragon Breath user compared to other fairies. So that is another pretty big count against the Enamorus there. In a sense, Enamorus is kind of like the Dedenne of the Master League, because Dedenne has that same sort of problem where a lot of the Dragon type Pokemon are dealing that one additional damage that other fairy type Pokemon, you know, they got enough defense where they're resisting it. It's like both of these Pokemon would really benefit from having a defense buffing move. Especially Dedenne. Forget about Enamorus. I mean, we're getting a moveset update, Movepool rebalance kind of thing happening soon. Niantic, if you're watching this video, please buff Parabolic Charge to give Dedenne one extra defense stat and make it like a 40 energy cost, 60 damage attack. That would be greatly appreciated. Or give it Nuzzle as a Icy Wind clone, debuffing the opponent's attack stat. That is my holiday wish for the next move rebalance. As far as Enamorus goes, you might think that this thing would benefit from a Movepool update, and you'd be absolutely right. But I don't think you really want this thing to get a Movepool update, because with the moves that it could get, if it were to get some more meta attacks that would allow it to stand out more in the Ultra League, it might become a lot better than you want it to be, especially since it's a limited Elite Raid Pokemon that's a huge pain in the butt to get XL Candy for. This thing could easily be one of the topmost threats in the Master League if it were to get the right moves added to it in the future. So I guess keep that in the back of your mind. I wouldn't go all out on it right now, because who knows when it could get an improved move pool. But as it stands, you know, maybe don't sleep on Enamorus completely. Maybe try to get at least one. And if you ain't walking anything else for XL Candy, maybe take it for a walk around the block a few hundred times. And yeah, because the future could come. We could be in the Enamorus meta. Zacian, the crown taken away, and put on this him-looking motherfucker. So that's all I gotta say about Enamorus and Pokemon Go right now. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below. Let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description.